Hey, it's Chris Jenkins, credentialed member of the media, covering the Carolina Panthers for Charlotte Vibe, aka Man of the People. Yes, you have a friend in the media, which is myself. Good evening and welcome to our live show. All of our shows are live, but welcome to another live show where we're going to break down the Carolina Panthers 2025 schedule. Excuse me. And I haven't had too long to view the official schedule, but we're going to go through it. Talk about some things. We're going to talk about the toughest stretch, primetime games, division games, bye week, all kinds of good stuff like that. But as always, let me ask you to do this before we get too far into the show. Show some love and support to independent media. Hit the like button, subscribe if you have not already subscribed. And if you just so happen to be watching a rebroadcast, make sure you leave a comment. Comments help other Carolina Panther fans find out about the channel. So this is it. The big part of okay, when are we playing? Where are we playing? What the schedule looks like, and starts to give you an idea of, for those very anxious people, hey, what might our record be? Because right now we've done we've done free agency, we've done the draft, had rookie minicamp. Now let's start licking our chops for this upcoming season. So we're going to first just dive in, go through the schedule as a whole, and then we're going to circle back and start to break down some things. So let's go ahead, and without further ado, let me just make sure that everything is working with all my bells and whistles. All right, we're looking clear there. All right, so we're clear. And we're going to go ahead and get into it. Some of my members are signing on. Appreciate that. Deshaun J, what's going on? Special shouts to Christopher Johnson, member. Good to see you. Willie Smith. And then KCH. KCH said, I still haven't seen the schedule. That is fine. We're going to jump right into it so that you can see the schedule. The Carolina Panthers will open the 2025 season down south in Florida. First game of the season will be an away game at Jacksonville Jaguars, going against Trevor Lawrence, #1 draft pick, as well as the one and only, sorry about that, as well as the one and only Travis Hunter. All right, so again, we're going to break this down a little bit more, but right now we're just going to go through things lightly. In week 2, Carolina Panthers travel out to Arizona to take on the Cardinals. Week 3, our first divisional matchup. So 3 weeks before we get into a divisional matchup, we'll be taking on the Atlanta Falcons. And then in week 4, we're going to travel up to New England to take on Mr. May and the New England Patriots for our week game 4. So already I can tell you this, what I just noticed in looking at this schedule, you have 3 out of your first 4 games being on the road for the Carolina Panthers. And this involves a lot of traveling. It's really only one big travel out to Arizona. Florida is not too far. New England is a little bit further of a travel, but again, it's not a West Coast travel where you're also changing time zones. So that's the first observation, but we're going to circle back to it and keep on walking through it. Continue to hit the like button for those tuning in. Appreciate it very much. Costs you nothing. It means a lot to me. Week 5, we return back to Bank of America Stadium for just our second home game of the season against the Miami Dolphins. All these games so far are pretty much 1 o'clock, with the exception of that West Coast game, which still is basically a 1 o'clock game for, no, that's not basically a 1 o'clock game. That's a 4 o'clock game, duh. But it's 1 o'clock out there is basically what I was getting at. All right, continue to move on through here. We then play the Dallas Cowboys October 12th. Man, this is what this has to be our 3rd season in a row of playing the Dallas Cowboys in Charlotte. Is it not? let me know. I know there's a bunch of fact checkers out there tuning in and watching. But again, Dallas Cowboys is who we play October the 12th, 1 o'clock game on Fox. Then we travel up to a very familiar stadium for us, which is the New York Jets. We seem like we play the Jets or the Giants every other year at the least. New York Jets, October 19th. And then we return back home. So we have a couple home games now here in October where we play the Buffalo Bills at 1 o'clock, also known as Carolina North sometimes. And then we have a home game against the Green Bay Packers. So this, my friends, is the first part of the schedule. This is, it's a 17-week schedule, so you can't exactly divvy it up in half. But this is the first 9 weeks of the schedule. And again, to me, what sticks out is starting 3 out of 4, first 2 games on the road, first 3 out of 4 on the road. And that is going to test any team, let alone a second-year coach and a team that, quite honestly is having a little youth movement as we get set. It's a youth movement, but it's a very good one, and that we're getting the foundation set for what should hopefully be some sustained long-term success for the Carolina Panthers. All right, let's go ahead and move on over to the second half of the schedule, the back 9, if you're a golfer, right? All right, so November 9th, we play the Saints. And then we also take on Saints at 1 o'clock, Falcons at 1 o'clock. So we got some back-to-back divisional games right there. And let me get the full schedule right in front of me because I think it's actually more than that. So yeah, we go, no, just back to back. All right, continue on. We'll go to week 12. This is, let me see if I have some good sound effects for it. Our one and only, I repeat, one and only prime time game will take place out in San Francisco. Monday night game against the San Francisco 49ers. Brock Purdy and company. Of course, I cannot fail to mention Christian McCaffrey as well. So finally, the Panthers are back in prime time after a year of no prime time games at all. Did we earn it? Did they do us a favor saying, hey, we're not just going to keep shutting these guys out of prime time games? But we have one. And one that I think is a good game. San Francisco, great city. Monday night, all right, stage will be set. And it's late enough in the season where during that primetime game, we can make an impact, right? We should kind of, whether we're coming together and really flourishing or whether we're just now getting it together with all the changes, that's still, I like the placement of that Monday night football game, primetime game being in week 12. Fortunately, we play LA in Charlotte, else we might be staying out there for a couple of weeks. But we return back to Bank of America Stadium for week 13 against the LA Rams. And then our first bye week is week 14. I repeat, first bye week is I say first, you only have one, but our bye week is not until week 14. So again, we're going to circle back and touch on these things a little bit deeper here in just a second. But I think that is a long time to wait for a bye week. Again, make sure you're hitting that like button, everybody that's tuning in and watching. Appreciate you all very much for doing so. And then we return back to divisional play on a road game. New Orleans. It is a late game. So there's a 4 o'clock game. New Orleans, and then back home to play Tampa Bay at 1 o'clock. And then the last 2 games of the season are to be determined for the exact dates, time, and network. But those final 2 games will be against the Seattle Seahawks in week 17. And then, unsurprisingly, do I have my little womp, womp, womp? All right, I got to get all my noises together, but what does this sound? Okay, dumb. But then we end the season on the road once again in Tampa Bay. And I say on the road once again because we start the season off heavily on the road, and then we finish the season on the road. And I'm not mad about Tampa Bay being the last game and being away. It does seem like, again, recently, and when I say recently, man, I feel like, geez, the last 5 years-ish that we've had a season where it's ending in Tampa Bay. Now, on one hand, I don't mind it because it's typically December or January, so it's cold everywhere else. You go down to Tampa, it's nice, sunshiny, and warm. But, let us end the season at some home games, right? What if we're going for the division? We got to win the division on the road in Tampa. That's, Baker Mayfield, ever since he's been in Tampa, has been playing pretty good. But again, there's your season schedule. I'll show it again to you briefly. This is weeks 1 through 9, starting on the road in Jacksonville and on the road quite a bit. So there you go. Soak that in, weeks 1 through 9. And here you have it, the rest of the season, weeks 10 through 18. And we end on the road as well there. So we're going to go ahead and dive into this a little bit deeper. Casey says, yes, Clearwater is nice though. So a little note about me. Tampa is actually my favorite city to go visit. I've just loved this. A short flight from Charlotte. Get some cheap flights there. I love the weather. And yes, every single time I go, I drive out to Clearwater, get the beach, even if it's for like 30 minutes, because I think it's a cool place. So yeah, I'm not mad about that in that sense. It's a nice place to travel to. So, all right. So comments are open. And we may open the phone lines. I know it's over the internet. I'm old school. I have to say phone lines because that's just programmed into my brain. I don't know what they say for the internet. Let's open up the internet lines, but we'll consider opening up the phone lines here in just a second. All right, let's go ahead and break this down a little bit. Let's start with our opening opponent, which is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Road game. Jacksonville, now it's not Tampa, it's not Miami. Jacksonville is actually the northernmost city that has an NFL team in Florida, but you can still count on it being a little warm, a little humid, a little muggy. And for a first game, I think that you may expect some sloppy play, right? I mean, any first NFL game, especially with teams not playing that much in the preseason as far as their starters go, you can expect any first game to have a possibility of being a little sloppy. But I certainly think for the Panthers, you add in the hot, the humidity, that it has an even bigger potential to be sloppy. It doesn't mean an automatic L, but I would imagine that oxygen will be flowing for some guys as they're getting adjusted to that. But again, we're going to get a chance to see Trevor Lawrence, a #1 draft pick, going against Bryce Young, a #1 draft pick. So that'll be, I'm sure, somewhat of a storyline. Probably not the main storyline, but it'll be one as the Jacksonville Jaguars have some new weapons on offense. They traded up to get Travis Hunter. So it'll be a chance to see him up close and personal for the first time. How much are they going to use him going both ways? Now, obviously, being a rookie, there's a lot to learn, period, whether you're playing just offense or just defense. So, whatever plan they have for him, I think we're going to see just a small sample of that because it's going to be week 1. But nevertheless, we'll get a chance to see Travis Hunter and how he lines up, the Heisman Trophy and two-way player. And yeah, that's our opening game. It's not a divisional game, so that kind of gives us a chance to get some things together before we do get into division play. And yeah, so that's thoughts on that first matchup. Now, prime time games. Let's see if we have it back up here. So prime time games, we do have one. It's not until week 12. Now, I failed to mention this in terms of that week 1 matchup for the Jacksonville Jaguars. It should be a winnable game, even though when I say it's sloppy, it's not like, oh, we're automatically going to be in the hole for this game because we're playing in a high heat. Well, no. Not saying that, but just pointing out some things to look for. The other thing to look for is, well, not look for, but possibilities of a win in this first game, right? Jacksonville is a team that needs to get on the right track. They've had Trevor Lawrence, who's shown flashes and then not shown flashes. They've had dysfunction down there. They've had a lot of things going on. Last season, the Jaguars finished at 4-13. So they got some pieces in place, just like the Carolina Panthers did as well. We finished 5-12, so we did have a slightly better record. So not, though it's on the road, it is not a bad matchup for the Carolina Panthers to start the season and get some momentum going. Now let's go ahead and talk about the primetime games, which again happen in the second part of the season. That will be week 12 that we're going to be taking on the San Francisco 49ers, who had a disappointing season last year. The San Francisco 49ers finished 6-11, and they've lost some key pieces. They've made some changes, but they have Brock Purdy, their quarterback, and they have Christian McCaffrey. Now, in that disappointing season, they also lost Christian McCaffrey for several of those games, many of those games. So this will be a chance to hopefully have Christian McCaffrey back healthy and take on the San Francisco 49ers. This will be our head coach's first time on the big stage. I'm sure he's going to be happy about it. Why? Because he's a California guy. You hear a lot about that now with Bryce Young being from California, T-Mac, our first round pick, being from Cali. Those three guys, you have this Cali love that things are talked about. So I'm sure he will be excited to be out in the California area. But I have no fears that this will be a big moment or Dave's going to let things kind of get out of control. Very, very even kill guy that is always talked about from other players and observations from me. But nevertheless, first primetime game will be once more in San Francisco. Got the wrong graphic up there. Monday night, 8:15 on ESPN. Now, gonna pose a question for you, or to you. One primetime game this season. This is where we're gonna be interactive. Is one primetime game disrespectful? Or is it exactly what this team needs at this point in the season? Should we have more than one primetime game? Do you perhaps feel, and this is interactive, right? So go ahead and get on the keyboard, get on the phone, type some comments. I want to hear from guys. Could you be thinking, okay, well, the Carolina Panthers actually finished pretty strong in that second half of the season. Bryce Young looked pretty good in the second half of the season. We played toe-to-toe with the Philadelphia Eagles. We played toe-to-toe with the Kansas City Chiefs. This team should have more primetime games. Or do you let's stay low-key. We do need to get some things together, and I'm not mad about it. I'll give you guys a second to chime in on that. Meanwhile, for those that are interested and are big NBA fans, the Boston Celtics are currently up 68-66. And then also just overall for the schedule itself, we got a Super Bowl rematch in week 2. The Chiefs and the Eagles play in week 2. Some of you guys commenting that D'Amico Walker, could that be flexed if we're not that good? And D'Amico, I'm assuming that you're talking about the Monday night game. Could that be flexed? No, that could not be flexed. You are going to be flexed Oh, let me think of all the technical details of that. I don't think it could be. Give me 2 seconds. I like questions like this. I like educating you guys, and it also keeps me on top of my toes. Let me see. D'Amico, I love the question, man. I love the question. Again, can't be the man of the people, cannot be the man of the people without educating, right? So sometimes it may take me a moment to research. So, D'Amico Walker. I feel like you're playing spoiler alert, but I love educating. So, yes, the answer is yes. Technically, yes, yes, yes. The Carolina Panthers Monday night game, because it is week 12, they can flex games week 12 through 17, so it's the first week that it is eligible to be flex. Could be flex should the NFL deem that it is totally a non-competitive game. They'll have to do so, I think, at least 10 days or 12 days in advance. They would have to let teams know that, and they could move another game into that area. So great question. Hopefully it will not happen, but I'm here to educate and be the man of the people. So again, it can be flex because flex games are eligible to take place weeks 12 through week 17, and that could mean taking a game out of Monday night. So, yeah. All right. Let's continue to work through everything that we have here. All right. Let's go ahead and talk about the bye week. Is it a good thing? So I'm going to put the question out there first because, again, I want some interaction. I want some comments. We got a lot of people watching, so if you don't mind, taking just a moment to hit that like button. All your likes are really, really good for us as they help us continue to grow, help other fans find out about us. We're independent media, 100% supported by you, your donations, your super chats. And so I know, hey, economy is crazy, so everybody can't do that, but at the least, likes, subscriptions, they're free and they help us grow. Helps me continue to get player and coach interviews as well. So the bye week. Here is the question about the bye week. Do you prefer an early bye week or a late bye week, or do you like it right there in the middle? Well, it's neither. It's kind of, I don't know how much later it could get, but week 14 is our bye week. Again, week 14 is our bye week. So I'm going to have some comments on that, but let me see if I can figure this out. So what did I say here? Week 14 is our bye week. Again, week 14 is our bye week. And watching this show tonight, you're going to get a lot of trivia knowledge. So the first trivia that I'm going to help you win are the weeks that the NFL can flex games. Because with D'Amico's question, it was revealed that, yes, the Carolina Panthers Monday Night Football game can be flexed because flexing starts week 12 and they play week 12. Now, our bye week is week 14. And question, well, could their bye week be any later than it is? Drum roll. No. No. Their bye week cannot be any later than it is. The Carolina Panthers have the latest bye week possible, which is week 14 for them. So, the good and the bad, all right? Or how can you look at this in several different ways? A mid to late bye is kind of good, but it could also be bad. I'm going to think about how I feel about this in just a second here. Last year, our bye was later in the week. I'm sorry, Jesus. Our bye week was later in the season. And it came at a good time because it allows your banged up players to get some rest. So, all right, so I just came to I like the bye week being late. I don't like it being the latest, it's week 12, 13, but we go all the way to week 14. I think the coaching staff has been together for a year, so that helps. Last year I was liking it was sooner because it gives you a chance to do a lot of self-scouting. You have a chance to do a lot of self-evaluation. Just hit that pause button and recalibrate with your coaches, look at film with your players, and make some big adjustments to things, right? We don't need that break for that purpose this year as much because we have our coaching staff intact, and it's not their first year, but it gives players a chance to, especially our younger players, that could be hitting that rookie wall, right? You got T-Mac, which is a first-year player. You got Xavier Legette, which is a second-year player, and many more. We had several undrafted free agents do well last year. Gosh darn, I can't think of the guy's name because I could think of his face. A safety that we have, and we had several players that are deep in the draft last year. So it all goes to say for me, now that I've had a chance to think about it, I'm good with that week 14 bye. It's the latest that it could be, but it gives our young players that chance to take a break from hitting that rookie wall, recoup, rejuvenate, and continue to play strong and finish out the season. Some of your comments say we're gonna know with this team I like early, with a run coach team I liked it later. All right, stay healthy. All right. So there's some feedback from you guys about the bye week, where it stands, and how it may affect the team. So appreciate the feedback. Thank you everybody for commenting. Now we got some more that we're gonna go through. Let's talk about the division. The division matchup and the spacing for the division game. So our first division game is not until week. I was looking at something wrong there. Week 3. First division game is week 3 at home. Next division game. So we're not loaded on the front end for division games. We'll put this back up here for everybody to soak it in. We only have one divisional game in the first 9 games. One divisional game in the first 9 games. What do you think about that? So back in the day, divisional games were more important than they are now. They're more important than they are now in that your seeding was, based on the division. You could do terrible, but if you won your division, you're there. Well, now it's not as important, and the overall schedule has more weight than your division. But your division is still important because you play those guys twice, right? It still makes up half of your schedule. And so with division games, it's typically different because you know your opponent, right? You know your opponent and you can game plan against them because you play them all the time. You get familiar with their tendencies, their coaching staff, the stadiums, all of that stuff, right? And we don't get into our division until the second half of the season, in which we, weeks 10, 11, we're now up to 3. And then basically the last part of the season, weeks 15, 16, and 18, it's all there. It's all there. So the good thing again is you play division opponents often, every year, twice a year. You get to know them, and if you can use that to your advantage and play some competitive games, then now the last part of the season for the NFC South, at least for the Carolina Panthers in that regard, is pretty significant to be playing well because you can make up a lot of ground playing teams playing teams that you know repeatedly and having a leg up on them. Now, again, they have the same things that we have. They get to know us, know our tendencies. But yeah, divisional matchups are mostly going to be in the second part of the season, not the first part. So I'm thinking about how I feel about that. So yeah, I'm thinking on how I feel about that. Young players. I kind of feel like I wish that they played them a little bit earlier because I feel like with newer talent, T Mac, Xavier Legette, all of our draft picks, that there's a little bit of an advantage that you could get playing them early because they don't have all this film on you. They don't have the tape on you. And new guys give you that little bit of a ability. You don't have it long, but gives you a little bit of ability to get a leg up because they don't know what to expect. Just like when we play Travis Hunter week 1, there's not going to be any film. You're not going to have any idea. So you're just going to completely be on your heels with what they do with Travis Hunter in week 1, potentially giving you an edge. So I like the idea of if we had even just too early on, maybe gives you a chance to get up on that opponent. And then when you face them the second time, you also have tape on them. They have tape on you. But you got that first victory. And now you're more at a 50-50 for that second one. But maybe there's a little bit of an advantage playing a divisional game up front because they don't know about you yet. But, it is what it is. I think for the NFL standpoint, it does make things competitive. That you're going to be playing divisional games. You have rivalries, so whether you're good or bad, divisional games are rivalries. They're usually good games, hard-fought games, and that's good for entertainment, which is good for views. So, yeah, again, that's the observation right now in terms of the divisional matchups. Our divisional games are, again, only won the first 9 weeks. Week 10, 11, back-to-back, and then we finished the last 2 out of 3 playing against Tampa Bay, which I feel like that happens a lot too, the Tampa Bay matchup. All right, losing my voice a little bit. But anyway, we're going to keep working through it. Division games. And if you guys have any comments about those division games, let me know. Leave a comment. We'll talk about it. All right. See the question below. What stretch of the schedule do you think is make or break for this team? Is that how I wanted to put it? That's what it says. I'm going to take that down because basically what I wanted to talk about is what's the toughest stretch for this team? And to me, it already stood out. The toughest stretch is the opening. And I didn't talk about teams' records, but again, we opened with the Jacksonville Jaguars, a team that was not that good last year. We then go out to Arizona, take on the Cardinals. They were pretty much a 500 team last year, 8-9. We come home to take on the Atlanta Falcons, which were also 8-9 last year. And then we travel up to New England to take on the Patriots, and they were 4-13. So some of the relief in this first 3 out of 4 being away games is that, well, they're not the toughest teams. They're not divisional winners. They weren't playoff teams. So that's the good thing. But the tough thing, again, you're not at home. You're playing on the road. You're going into the visiting team locker room. You got a stadium of 70, 80,000 people that are cheering for the other team. They're not cheering for you. You're starting off in hot Florida for the first game. Then you got a West Coast game where you fly all the way out to Arizona, and then you come back, you get a home game, and then you travel all the way up to New England. So new routines on the road, these flights. I think that's the toughest part is the beginning of the schedule with those first 3 out of 4. But also, nevertheless, and the way that I have the calendar, the schedule set up, you can't really see this. Give me just a second here. So you can't really see this too well. But, oh yeah, you can see it. We play the Packers at the start of the month in November. So let's try to identify the toughest stretch. The Dolphins, they weren't that good. The Dallas Cowboys, they weren't that good last year. Now, I mentioned they weren't that good last year. It doesn't say exactly what they're going to be this year. Every team goes into the offseason. They have a free agent that they acquire. They lose some players, and then they do the draft. And Dallas has definitely been making some moves to, on paper, be a lot better than they were last year. You have Dak Prescott that's going to be healthy. You have a trade that they've been getting with some wide receivers. They're not the same team, okay? So we'll put that out there. But in terms of teams that made the playoffs, we take on the Green Bay Packers, which were, let's go this right. Week 9, we take on the Green Bay Packers, which was a playoff team. We take on the Saints and the Falcons. Now, those teams didn't make it, but this is still in November. Then we take on the San Francisco 49ers, primetime game. They weren't a playoff team. The Los Angeles Rams, they were a playoff team and won their division. Then you got the Saints, the Bucks, the Seahawks. Thinking through this as a touchy, Seahawks are, I don't know. You could say November is tough, but then what about December being tough? You played Tampa Bay 2 out of 3 weeks, coupled in there between San Francisco, and basically 3 weeks in a row, you're playing a divisional winner. The Tampa Bay Bucks won the NFC South. I'm sorry, the Seahawks didn't win the NFC West, but they're a playoff team. So let me correct that. So closing out the season, the final 3 weeks of the season, you are playing a team that was a playoff team last year. I repeat, the final 3 games of the season, you're playing a team that was in the playoffs last season. Tampa Bay was, Seattle was, and then, of course, you play Tampa Bay again. So, I think it's a challenging schedule. I think it's a challenging schedule for the Carolina Panthers with all the road games at the start. You got some tough games kind of in the middle. And then you certainly have a tough ending with, again, teams that have been into the playoffs, playing the Bucks 2 out of 3. and then playing the Seattle Seahawks in the midst of that to make it 3 out of 3 games that were against a team that went into the playoffs last season. So, yeah, that's all that I have for you in breaking down the schedule for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll continue to broadcast, be a man of the people, answer any questions that you have. D'Amico, salute to you for asking some great questions tonight. I'm also going to see if there's any other questions that came in here before we get off and get back to enjoying our evenings. Will Horn Jr. get a real shot at wide receiver or just special teams? Yeah, I absolutely feel like he will. I feel like this staff has talked about competition ever since Dan Morgan and Dave Canales have been paired together. Like, competition. We want competition. Nothing is going to be handed to guys. You got to earn it. Even Jatavian Sanders getting the number 0 last year, they weren't willing to just say, hey, yeah, you can get 0, you're a rookie. No, they made him play, made him earn it, and allowed him to get 0 during the season. So, yeah, I think that Horn Jr. will get a legitimate chance at wide receiver. Now, how much of an opportunity does he have to prevail? Well, I don't know. How well is he going to do? Certainly think if he's doing good, that's going to open up some eyes, and yeah, you'll give him a shot. So, have not seen these guys. Rookie minicamp was last week. I don't put any weight into that whatsoever for a guy's ability to make the roster, for a guy's ability, knowing what his impact will be on the team. Don't even give any of that the first week of OTAs, the first week of camp. Not until the guys put on the pads can you start to really see what a guy can do. He's right now learning his responsibilities, his roles. He's getting used to his new lifestyle, learning the playbook. And Dave Canales is a guy who said he doesn't mind guys making mistakes in practice or as rookies, but let's make new mistakes the next day. So a lot of that's going to be taking place to start the season. So D'Amico, hopefully I'm saying your name correctly. I invite you to continue to stay tuned to the channel, subscribe, turn on your bell notifications. I will do what I do every single offseason and training camp, which is every day have video coverage, highlights of practice, and then I'll also do another video where I break down practice in more detail, talking about the plays that I saw, the 7-on-7, the team drills, what players were doing, what the results of those were, to give you all an opportunity to formulate for yourselves just where this team stands as they're heading into the 2025 season. Again, thank you everybody for watching and for tuning in. That is your 2025 schedule release for the Carolina Panthers, independent media. So I always ask, like the video, subscribe, and leave a comment. Those are the things that help our channel grow. We really want to get to 20,000 subscribers this season. It really does help us continue to get players and coaches on the shows and do interviews with them and bring you into it as well. Thanks again for watching. I'm Chris Jenkins for Charlotte Vibe.